Какая тупость уже. Нахер.
Кто-то позвонит вам.
Let's talk about the 14 things you can consume to make fasting much easier. Realize that when you do fasting, anything that you're consuming other than water is going to break your fast to some degree. But these are the items that will have a very, very minor effect on your ability to get right back into fasting. And when we're talking about fasting, we're talking about lowering your ketosis, we're talking about raising insulin, that type of thing. And obviously the biggest thing that will break your fast is refined carbohydrates or sugar, okay, the high carbohydrate diet. Protein also has the ability to break your fast because protein can stimulate insulin, and a good portion of protein actually turns into fuel in your body. And this is why if you're doing fasting, and then let's say you work out and you take some branched chain amino acids right before the workout, during your fast, you will break your fast because that would stimulate glucose or collagen or bone broth. Those will actually increase insulin. Now, the two things that don't seem to have that much effect on insulin are fats and fiber. Fiber has a zero effect on insulin. So when you're consuming leafy greens, for example, that are very high in fiber, low in sugar, that will have a very minimal effect on insulin. But on the flip side of that, anything that you eat in general of any significance, if it has a certain quantity of calories, can stimulate insulin to a certain degree. So that being said, let's just go through the things that you could consume that will have a minimal effect on your ability to stay in ketosis and do your fast. Now, number one, MCT oil. This is very, very good, especially when you're starting out, especially in the morning, maybe to put in your coffee, because MCT oil will turn into ketones very, very fast. And then your brain can run on the ketones, your heart can run on the ketones, you can use these ketones as energy. And MCT oil will allow you to go longer without getting hungry. So that would be number one. Number two, coffee. Coffee does not have a lot of calories, and it doesn't seem to break the fast very much. So coffee would be okay, as long as you don't put sugar in it. Now, if you add an alternative sweetener, maybe a little erythritol or stevia or monk fruit, that would be totally fine. But let's say, for example, you want to add whole cream. So a little bit of whole cream will have a very minor effect, and I wouldn't worry about it too much. So coffee can help you fast longer. It can reduce hunger. Number three, exogenous ketones. Another name for this would be ketone salts. So let's say, for example, you're fasting and you feel tired or you have brain fog. You can basically just take ketones and they go into your blood, and then your brain will pick it up, because if the brain has a choice between glucose or ketones, it'll always pick ketones. But if your body has not adapted yet and you haven't generated ketones, you can end up with low blood sugar and you might feel kind of funky and tired. But if you provide the ketones for the brain, it will suck them up and use them for brain energy. So this could help you feel better while you're fasting, especially with brain fatigue or lethargy. Number four, tea. Drinking tea can greatly help you go longer when you fast, especially with the phytonutrients in the herbs that make up the tea. Number five, electrolytes. By taking certain minerals, and realize there's hardly any calories in here unless you're getting the wrong type of electrolytes that has glucose in it, which we never recommend. But the minerals, the trace minerals and electrolytes, will actually help your blood sugars and help your energy of your muscles, and it just makes it easier to do fasting. Number six, probiotics. Probiotics are healthy bacteria that can help stabilize blood sugars. All right, number seven, B vitamins. B vitamins will help insulin resistance. It will give you energy. So these B vitamins are needed at the cellular level, especially when you're doing fasting or ketosis. All right, apple cider vinegar has a great effect on your blood sugars, and it can allow you to go a lot longer without eating. Now, if you're doing kombucha tea, a lot of times they have a bit too much sugar in that product. So you want to read the labels. If you find one with 2 grams, that might be okay. but even 2 grams could be too much for some people. So it really depends on your metabolism. But I will say that, generally speaking, this is lower amounts of sugar than other types of tea. And it has a good probiotic and a good acid to help you go longer, especially at night. Let's say you want a replacement for beer or wine or champagne. This has a similar texture and carbonation that can act as a substitute. Number 9, fiber. Fiber does not stimulate insulin, and it's food for your microbes. And the microbes actually make butyric acid, which is actually kind of in the family of ketones, and that can help stabilize your blood sugars and improve insulin resistance. So if you were to do a concentrated green fiber or a wheatgrass juice powder, that usually should be totally okay because you get the nutrients from it. And if you're doing a greens drink with fiber, the fiber actually can act as food for your microbes. So that would be something that could enhance things because it's almost like you're consuming a dehydrated form of a vegetable, and you can even feel more satisfied with that. All right, number 10, erythritol. So you can put that in your coffee, but erythritol has a 0 effect on the glycemic index. So it gets absorbed in the small intestine, and it gets in the blood, and it gets pushed out to the kidneys unchanged. So it's a sweetener. So if you were to add that with the tea or the coffee, whatever, that would be fine. Or stevia or monk fruit. These 3 sweeteners do not have hardly any effects on your blood sugars. Number 11, lemon juice. Now there is a little bit of carb in lemon juice, but a little lemon juice in your water is totally fine. And for the most part, it really won't break your fast for more than a minute. Okay, but it can actually help reduce the risk of kidney stones and even gout or high levels of uric acid. All right, number 12, amino acid blend. So protein in general will stimulate insulin, but there are certain blends of amino acids, like the keto essential amino acids, that have an effect of not providing fuel for the body, but mainly for recovery. So straight amino acid blend could have a great effect right after you work out to give you certain amino acids without giving you that insulin spike. If you want more information, I put a link down below. All right, number 13 is sea salt. This is very, very important. I recommend the Himalayan pink sea salt. That would be something that I really like. But sea salt actually can make you actually feel stronger, your muscles. It can help with your energy level, because if you're deficient in salt, you can have like the keto flu or keto fatigue. So this could give you more energy. And lastly, number 14 is just water. Now, I'm not just recommending drinking massive amounts of water, like gallons, to somehow satisfy you, but I will say that when you're doing fasting, if you're a stone former and you develop kidney stones, you may find that your uric acid goes up and potentially you could form a uric acid stone. But if you're drinking enough water, I'm talking about 2 to 2.5 liters per day, you're going to pretty much dilute the urine, so you're not going to form a kidney stone. So drinking more water can help you. Now, when you're doing fasting, you're going to find that you're going to get a fluctuation in hormones. And when you get this fluctuation, you may go through a little bit of hunger at certain points, especially in the morning at 8 o'clock when you have a little spike of cortisol and you might feel like you need to eat. If you just ignore that transient hunger, that will go away in most cases. But if it persists, then go ahead and eat. But if you're going through a little wave of I'm a little hungry and all of a sudden it goes away, just realize that is just a hormonal flux, and you just want to ignore it and push through that and go a little bit longer. All right, thanks for watching. So I wanted to say thank you so much for watching my videos. I really, really appreciate it. Now, if you have benefited from my information or videos and want to share it with the world, I would love to have you write up a success story. So click the link down below, fill it out, and let's let people know the benefits of healthy keto and intermittent fasting. this morning I released a video, had the most views I've ever had. It's 25,000 views an hour. And take a wild guess what the topic is. Coronavirus. Yeah, it's a very hot topic right now. You know, about, I would say, 15 years ago, I was doing talks around the governmental agencies in Washington, D.C., and also ExxonMobil. And they kicked me out. They actually said, you can't talk anymore. I called them up and said, why? They said, well, because you're recommending 45 eggs a day, and that's very bad for the heart. I said, no, I didn't say 45, I said 4 to 5. So they said, oh, okay, you can come back. So sometimes you have to clarify things. So disclosures, no financial ties to pharmaceutical, diagnostic, or medical devices, or food industry. Owner of drberg.com, Dr. Berg Supplements. Authored the Healthy Keto Plan. I organize a summit called the Healthy Keto Summit every year. And my bias is low carb. So today I want to talk about some unique problems that happen in the keto world. I have a large following on social media. I have a Facebook closed private group of 300,000 people, and it's called my Keto Lab. I'm able to test different things to see what works, see what problems that people are running into, and gain a tremendous amount of understanding about what people are running into and what the solutions are. So I want to share today some common problems and solutions, one of the biggest ones being plateau. It's keto stall. So I want to talk about that first. So a couple things. One is that you have people who say, well, it's not working. I only lost 2 pounds. The first week I lost 6, and now I just lost 2 pounds. I'm like, well, you have to understand that is normal. So it takes a little bit of education at first to set people up. But there's different levels of awareness that you have to understand. You have awareness of the problem, awareness of the cause of the problem, awareness of the solution, and also of the correct solution. So, like I would take, like men, for example, they might have this huge belly, but they're not very aware that that is a fatty liver. They're just like, oh yeah, it's fine, I can deal with it. So I wouldn't necessarily go right into teaching them about what to eat, because that's too high level. So I really address people where they're at, and then build them up. And one of the things I found is that you have to teach them the basics of certain things. Especially like one guy came in, he goes, yeah, your program's not working. I tried it for 2 weeks, and it didn't work. Well, it did work, but then it stopped working. Well, what did you do? Well, I stopped the diet. I said, did you think it was going to keep working if you stopped? So you really have to educate people from the very beginning. And so there's a really important, very vital principle that I talk about, and that is about, it's not lose weight to get healthy, it's get healthy to lose the weight. And this is so basic, because looking at diabetes as a disease doesn't work as this is like this cause situation. It's the effect, of course, of high insulin. If someone does not understand this concept, they're very susceptible to doing the wrong solution. Very unhealthy programs, diet, appetite suppressants, low quality products. They try to actually diet to lose weight. How many of you agree that dieting actually destroys your metabolism? You take someone who's menopause, and you ask them, how many diets have you been on? It's probably been 10 or 12, and every time they do it, of course they're doing it wrong, it slows down the metabolism. So just because someone's losing weight doesn't mean they're getting healthy. It really depends on how they're losing weight. So there's some products that people think are healthy. You have, of course, the Slim Fast, hidden sugars. If you take a look at the ingredients, high levels of soy protein isolates, which are exposed to hexane, which in PubMed is a neurotoxin. And FDA has no ceiling of how much hexane is in there. Had a lot of clients come in that have done like programs like Ideal Protein, that really high in soy protein isolates, and then with liver and gallbladder issues. So, and they're hidden sugars as well.
So it's a really important question that I always ask people to figure things out, and I think it's just, it's not emphasized. And that is, okay, when did this problem start? And what happened just before that? You can get so much data. I had one lady came in with a heart attack symptoms. She's been to the hospital, spent $40,000 worth of testing, and nothing showed up. And then we find out, I said, well, when did it start? Well, 2 weeks ago. What day? Tuesday. What did you eat? She goes, oh, big banana split. I said, okay. Laid it on my table, started doing some work on her. And it was basically just a congested gallbladder, backed up in the liver, causing heart pain. All the heart symptoms went away. So it's really, really important to find out what occurred just before you started having that problem. I ask that question a lot. Maltodextrin, glycemic index way higher than glucose and sugar. So obesity is a symptom. It's not, if you focus on obesity, you're going to basically, you're not going to be as successful. It's coming from too much insulin.
Я у Сони сегодня спросилась, она поняла, что вы объясняли. В общем, ничего она не поняла. Она сказала, что вы слишком громко разговаривали, и пришлось убавить микрофон. То есть в конечном результате она ничего не слышала. Давайте попробуем еще раз. И попробуйте громко не говорить, потому что у нее этот микрофон, похоже, очень чувствительный. И у нее уши резать начинает. Так что давайте попробуем еще раз, а в следующий раз попробуйте объяснить то, что вы объясняли.